Here, the writer is asking us what problem is highlighted regarding incidental lumas in this paragraph. And basically, the writer is doing this. So, we already know that there's a problem in the paragraph, and that is in relation to with regard to incidental lumas. Now, there are a couple of options which are basically all saying the same thing, that there are some problems, unnecessary financial burden is there, the unintended consequences are there. Psychological issues is also a problem. Screening the wrong body parts is also a problem. But we have to figure out which answer option is going to be correct. Now, when I start a sentence or a paragraph with although, I already know that they are going to give me two different kinds of meaning here. First meaning, if for example, here they are saying that early detection of progressive or malignant, basically diseases which are serious in nature, which are cancerous maybe, or which can get worse over time, when you detect those kinds of diseases early, that is beneficial. If they've started with although, I know that the next part is going to say that something else is not beneficial, not good. So most incidental lomas prove benign. They've made the comparison. Listen, when you're diagnosing disease conditions which are serious, early detection is great. We love it. But most of the incidental lomas, they're not serious. They are benign in nature. But what happens? What happens is they incur patient anxiety and harms from the investigation cascade. So basically, there are issues. And what are those issues? These issues are this, that even though incidental lomas, they themselves are not serious, they themselves are not problematic, and incidental lomas are not really causing patient anxiety or harm, really, no. But incidental lomas, in order to find those out, when you do multiple investigation, that's why the writer has used the term cascades. When the writer uses the term cascades, the writer is trying to show that he doesn't feel very positive about it. He feels rather negative about it, which is why rather than saying that in a number of different investigations, he has said investigation cascades, which basically means investigations happening one after the other or a series of investigations, right? So you have patient anxiety and harm from investigation cascades, which include complications, harms which include complications of invasive procedures also, right? Such as biopsies, and then you have radiation risk from the follow-up imaging, also once again, one kind of issue. Then once again, you're having it from imaging, and opportunity cost and resource use for healthcare systems as well. So we have already highlighted the problem here, the multiple problems which are happening, not due to the disease condition, but due to the investigations that are happening. Then it says that it results from the type of method that you have used and an imaging modality which accidentally, because inadvertently means accidentally, screening bodily organs. Okay, this is a how do you identify incidental lumas? Accidentally, when you're screening out the body parts which were not the target organs of interest. Now, in this regard, imaging of non-target interest shares several analogies, but it doesn't really say what is the problem. Such screening can bias towards detecting benign asymptomatic abnormalities. So that means it can become biased towards them. It can influence finding a specific kind of abnormality. Sure. And then they give me multiple example of a study in which they are not even talking about incidental lomas, but rather they are discussing how they wanted to look for some particular disease condition. They wanted to do the investigation, but then they figured out something very, very benign in nature, an incidental finding they found out, like pulmonary nodule or enlarged lymph gland. And it was only seen in one in top 10 patients. So that is very, very less. And on the basis of these, the majority of these nodules were also benign. So they have highlighted one point again and again that these are very, very benign in nature. Then what is the problem? The only problem they have highlighted is here. That is, listen, the number of investigations you are doing, those are causing so many problems. And you have radiation risk, you have complications of invasive procedures. Patient anxiety is definitely one problem. Then you have the problem of harm, which can include all of these things. And the cost and resource on the healthcare system is also another problem. Now let's come here. Unnecessary financial burden on the system. That is true. They have mentioned cost and resource use on the healthcare system. And it is unnecessary. Why? Because it does not need to be done. Sure, I'm a little bit dicey about the word unnecessary. But apart from that, I don't necessarily have a problem here because this is one of the problems, correct? Then looking at answer option B, there are unintended consequences. So the word unintended consequences, I like that a lot. Why? Because incidental lumas are not themselves problematic, but the investigations, the imaging that you do for these incidental lumas, those lead to all of these problems, which are a consequence. Yes. And these are unintended consequences. This is very important because it is not a direct result of these. We did not mean for these to happen. These are indirect. These are unintended. These are not something that we thought would happen, but it happens as a result of the investigations. Now I can think of it. So it makes sense that, and unintended consequences, it talks about multiple consequences. So it covers all of these things rather than just this one answer option, which talks about just one of the problem, the financial burden. I like this answer option B more than answer option A. So even if I didn't find a better answer, I would definitely not choose answer option A. Now, then checking, giving rise to psychological issues in patients. We definitely have psychological issues like patient anxiety and harm. But once again, this is another problem, just like the resource of healthcare system. But what I'm looking for is, well, I have a better answer. So I'm looking for a better answer now. So not answer option C. Why? Because according to answer option C, then I should also choose answer option A because that is also another problem, isn't it? Then I look at answer option D, screening the wrong body parts. Now, screening the wrong body parts is never going to be a good thing, but incidental lomas are a result of this. They result from an imaging modality which accidentally screens bodily organs that were not the target organs of interest. They're not doing it intentionally. That is happening by mistake, by accident. But incidental lomas are a result of these. It's not a problem. They're a result. If something is happening as a result, it's not necessarily a problem. Because if you didn't screen the wrong body parts, then you wouldn't get incidental lomas. So it doesn't really make sense how it is a problem here. Instead, I would choose my answer option B to be the right answer only because they have mentioned all of these problems, and these clearly are issues which are unintended consequences because you're doing these investigations. So our answer option B is going to be the right answer.